Angel Song and Mercury. America's Global Fuzzball Christian Conservative LH Music. This is the LH Music Time Factor radio show. Oh my goodness. I hate to say this, but I tell you what, because you know why? Because hate to break this to you. Look at inside our Doomsday. Let's start parts one, parts 2, whatever it is. Trust me about that. This whole world is getting inside our time because December 21st. It's gotta be a worst thing it can happen. And that is why, because Doomsday is coming in. What in heavens on earth did anybody does for Doomsday at a time like this? It doesn't make sense at all, but who needs it anyways? Because so that's why part 1 of this Doomsday part of Time Factor radio show special edition is all about Doomsday. What happens next? So, why don't you take a look and listen to this? You know who, that's right. That's right, because I want you to listen to this, because Doomsday is worse than ever before. You see this last Sunday on Fox News channel is called Countdown to Doomsday. I want you to take a look and listen to this. This is going to be worse. I mean, this is going to be worse. Just listen to this. And there's a book of Revelations with parts 1 and 2, whatever it is. So take a look and listen.
For the last several decades,
what you about to see is the Mayan temple and all that stuff. And I'm proud to say, because stop right there, because this is a ancient history. And Grant Kendrick and Graham Hancock is the author of this one, because everybody's changing the world. How this planet Earth is going to change right before our very eyes and ears. So we get inside all that, and all that stuff. So trust me about that. If I were you, and it looks like or maybe just planet Earth. How's it going to affect it? It's going to affect us. It can be civilized about changing the past inside the future, because the weather is not letting up. The killing mass amount of people died at a time like this, because everyone living in a strange world and deadly times. People living on dinosaurs, or the beginning of this world event just before Christmas and New Year's. But I tell you one thing is, it can happen. I bet you it can happen on December 21st in the year 2012. Could be the world will end, or it's a new beginning. Because you decide for yourself. Could be the world without end. Because people don't know what's going on in this whole world. Knows. Could be a mass of this whole planet Earth. It's just ridiculous. Just a mindset of mind-boggling to me. So I think when we come back, we'll have the rest of it. So trust me about that. So I have no clue whatsoever. In 140 characters. And it might be the planet Earth. Here we are today. And it could be civilized. It could be being screwed up. I don't know what it does, but it can happen one day. The whole world will change, and you might become deadlier than you thought it was. We're right back. More Time Factor. H.S. Mercury. Time Factor.